Can you talk about the fact that your role as Attorney General, literally the state's top prosecutor, what can you do to help a lot of those frustrated folks today who are angry about crime in their neighborhood, broken in cars, the broken window syndrome, so to speak? What did you hear today that really touched you at this meeting to say people are fed up and they want change?
Well, it was incredibly special to be able to be face-to-face with a number of folks in C District this morning, just talking to people about what they're experiencing. And actually, I was doing less of the talking. I was just listening. And what people said was very powerful. They're fed up. That's exactly what they said. They're tired of the crime. They're tired of criminals running around and no one's being held accountable. Their children, their grandchildren are having their cars stolen. Thieves are taking things off the shelves in their neighborhood stores. One of them said, the Dollar General in my neighborhood is actually shutting down. Where am I supposed to go? And we saw this awful violence over July 4th weekend with 11 people being shot in 2 hours, one as young as 13, a 13-year-old girl. And we're seeing the video of this, the footage of it, all through the summer. We saw it in Juneteenth. We saw it even earlier. There is lawlessness. There is lawlessness. And people are tired of it. And they remember a time where that wasn't the case. And I think people are especially frustrated right now because they're paying so damn much. And they're paying more and more in taxes. And their government is providing them with less and less. It isn't even providing basic safety.
But that lawlessness that you talk about, that anger, that frustration, is that one of the reasons why you said, okay, I can complain about it, I can whine about it, I can cry about it, but I'm going to do something about it? Is that feeling just one of the reasons why you said, okay, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to run for state attorney general?
It is the reason. I was a federal prosecutor for 12 years. I was born in New York. I was a prosecutor in New York for 12 years. And my focus was actually international criminals, international terrorists, drug cartel leaders in Mexico and Colombia, hackers overseas. I spent my time going after the worst of the worst so that they couldn't victimize Americans. But you know what? I'm also a mom of 4. I have 2 sets of twins. They're 7 and almost 2, and we live here in New York. And I saw that as I was chasing criminals overseas, right here in New York, the streets were getting less safe. We had someone victimized in my family taking my kids to school. We're tired of it too. And I looked around, I saw there were no prosecutors running for attorney general, and I stepped up because what we need right now is someone from the law enforcement community who's going to support the police. As you just heard John Davidson say, the police need more support. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the morale. They don't have the backing that they need to be effective. We need someone who's going to support the police and who's going to enforce the laws. And that's what I'm going to do.
And can we talk about the fact with your prosecutorial background, you've put away a lot of really bad people. You've protected families over many years in your time as a prosecutor. How can that help you become the best attorney general possible? Because in the end of the day, putting criminals and bad guys and girls away, I mean, that's the main part of that job. How did your experience putting those people away can help you as our state's next attorney general?
Well, listen, I went after leaders in Al-Qaeda and in ISIS, and I also went after leaders in the Bloods gang, fraudsters, cybercriminals here and overseas. I also interacted with people from all walks of life and from every community in New York. There's something really special about being a prosecutor because you meet victims, you meet witnesses, you meet criminal defendants. I had an open door. Anyone who wanted to come talk to me, they could come and talk to me. And so you actually get a lot of empathy for different people's experiences. This is not an ivory tower situation. I did go to Harvard for college and law school, but then I left Harvard and I went to the real world and I actually talked to the people in these situations. And that gives me the ability to understand why it's so important to enforce the law. This is not about being mean or cruel. This is about making sure that victims get justice. This is about making sure that people who play by the rules don't feel basically like they're being taken advantage of. Those of us who pay full price at CVS are paying for those who just steal things from the shelves because our prices are going up every time they have to lock more things behind the glass. Those of us who have a car are paying more in car insurance because under Letitia James, car thefts in Western New York have tripled, and that's what drives up the insurance prices.
I'm most impressed not at Harvard, but the fact that you're a Republican and conservative and came out of Harvard.
Well,
You're
here's
the
the
one.
thing. This is really important, and I want everyone to know this. I am not running in a Republican versus Democrat race. I am running in a race that is about choosing a law enforcement professional to be attorney general versus a partisan politician. People are as tired of the politics as they are tired of the crime. We need folks in that office who are actually going to focus the resources of that office on fixing the problems that New Yorkers are facing, which is crime, homelessness, and fraud. And when we do that, we're going to make New York safer and less expensive. If we keep going with what we've had for the last 7 years, we're just going to have one political fight after another, burn through taxpayer money, and none of that actually serves New Yorkers.
I give you a lot of credit, though, because I was controller from 2012 to 2021, and people ask me all the time, like, hey, would you ever run again? I'm like, hell no. I absolutely positive. I'm done. I'm just done. I'm like, New York is screwed, and I have such a jaded idea sometimes. I really do. I do not want to run for anything ever again. But you have the exact opposite feeling. You saw that anger, and you said, okay, I'm going to do something about it. Is that what really drives you? Because it drove me out that I'm just done. I'm not doing it. I'm out of it. But you have that passion and fire in the belly to say, look, New York is worth saving, and I'm going to do something to save it.
Yeah, listen, we have to save it. It's also encouraging that we can save it. I've looked at the data. I looked at the numbers. If you look at the polling, most New Yorkers already agree with me. Most New Yorkers think the state is going in the wrong direction on crime. Most New Yorkers think that cashless bail went too far and we need to fix it. Most New Yorkers think that we actually need to make sure that people who defraud taxpayers are caught and prosecuted and that money is brought back to taxpayers. We just don't have an attorney general who does any of those things, and I will.
And you're listening live to Stefan Mychajliw on NewsRadio 930 WBEN, live in studio. Saritha Komatireddy, I believe, our next New York State Attorney General. You mentioned your opponent, and right off the bat, I just remember from day one, that's all she talked about was basically settling political scores. Hey, I'm going to use the bully pulpit of this office to attack and take down political enemies. Can you tell our listeners about how, from your perspective, you were a prosecutor, how that's the exact opposite viewpoint of what a New York State Attorney General should be doing?
Listen, I have never, in my 12 years as a federal prosecutor, I've never targeted someone because I didn't like them, because they were a political enemy, or because I didn't like their affiliations. What we need to do is fight crime. That's what we need to do. And we need to discard politics in the process. We've had 7 years of Letitia James. She's had 2 terms in office. The only reason she gets to run again is because New York doesn't have term limits. But you know what? In those 2 terms, crime in New York is up 26%. Drug deaths are up 63%. Homelessness is up 38%. And all of us, we are paying for that, both in terms of safety and in our wallets. Because you know what? Like I said before, when criminals steal a car, your car insurance goes up. When fraudsters steal from Medicaid, your health insurance goes up. And when people steal from stores or do all of the other things that we are seeing, make it unsafe to walk down the street or take public transportation, so you're dropping money on an Uber, your costs are going up every day. When we leave homeless people out on the streets, our counties are paying millions of dollars to put them in hotels and motels, which is a burden on your property taxes. All of that adds up to a crime tax. That's what we are paying under Tish James, a crime tax. When I'm Attorney General, I'm going to prosecute crime and fraud. I'm going to solve the homelessness crisis once and for all, and we're going to get a tax refund.
It's interesting you mentioned Medicaid, too. A literal cost that for years, and Joe Hernandez was on, our state controller candidate, talking about how Tom DiNapoli was asleep at the switch. It took Nick Shirley and a guy with a camera just to go with Dr. Oz in New York and find rampant fraud, waste, and abuse within New York State. But I don't see anyone getting charged or prosecuted for that. So how would your watch be different as New York State Attorney General when it comes to someone getting busted for Medicaid fraud and making sure they pay the penalty for doing it?
Yeah, well, listen, other people can write reports, but the Attorney General can actually put someone in jail at the state level. And that's what she needs to do. It's sad to see what's happened to our Medicaid fraud unit in the AG's office. It used to be one of the best units in the country. It is now ranked 51st in indictments and convictions. Previous Attorney Generals got about 100 convictions a year. Letitia James, on average, gets 9. And you know who's hurting? It's patients. It's the elderly. She gets 2,000 patient abuse and neglect complaints every year, and out of those, she gets 1 or 2 convictions. So how many thousands of people are being neglected, aren't getting the medical care that they need and that we pay for? So many, and no one's being held accountable. It's totally unacceptable, and I have to tell you, Stefan, this is important because she was recently pressed on it by the press. How much Medicaid fraud have you actually prosecuted? She said, you know what? I've prosecuted $627 million. At first blush, that sounds like a lot. But in reality, she's been in office for 7 years. That's less than $90 million a year. That is a fraction of what her predecessors did. Our Medicaid costs have gone up, our population has gone down, and our Medicaid fraud unit has been run into the ground by Tish James. I guarantee you, when I'm Attorney General, I'll be able to bring back at least $1 billion, and we can put that back in New Yorkers' pockets.
In the last minute we have, you want to give the elevator pitch, especially to Democrats, saying this is not a race about Republicans, Democrats, not about parties, why you are the best candidate for New York State Attorney General.
Listen, my commitment to everyone, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, my commitment is to make sure I protect every New Yorker, regardless of race, religion, or politics. I will actually wake up every morning thinking about how to make New York safer. I'm not running for governor. I'm not running for Congress. I'm not looking to be a political celebrity. I'm just a mom who wants to fix this, and I will.
Damn straight she will. We're going to end on that note. I really appreciate it. Live in studio, Saritha Komatireddy. I really appreciate you joining us. You have an open invite to come on in anytime you're in Buffalo.
Thank you, Stefan.
All right. It's so awesome. Good to see you. God bless you. It's going to be a tough race, to say the least. But you know what? It can be done. And very similar in my race in 2012 for Erie County Comptroller. People said I couldn't win. I was running in an Obama presidential year, and we pulled it off. So thank you very much.